What is up, Light Fam? Welcome to another video. My name is David, your spiritual awakening coach, here to help you through your spiritual awakening. Now, one of the huge advantages that I have of working with so many of you guys one-on-one is I get to witness the commonalities and the similarities of so many of you guys on your spiritual journey. And where a lot of people find themselves today is where we like to call the spiritual void. So this is where you feel like almost every area of your life has been stopped and put on hold for a minute. You may even feel like you're no longer receiving communication from your spirit guides or the universe in general. You stop getting those synchronicities and you stop getting all of the number signs. And you kind of feel like you've been left on your own while your life is on hold. Well, the good news is that the spiritual void is actually designed that way. So we will dive into why that is actually a good thing and it's all part of the ascension process. So if this is an ascension symptom that you are currently facing today, let's dive deep into what the spiritual void is and what to do about it right now. Let's go. So what is the ascension symptom of the spiritual void stage? Well, as I alluded to earlier, this is where you feel that every area of your life has magically stopped for some reason. You feel almost alienated by the universe or your spirit guides. And oftentimes, this spiritual awakening stage of the spiritual void tends to happen at the end of the dark night of the soul. So you guys may remember my spiritual awakening stages video, which did very well, by the way. Thank you guys very much. And I'll link that video right here so you can go check that out after you watch this video. I'll also link that video in the bottom as well. But my spiritual awakening stages video said the dark night of the soul is stage 2. So the dark night of the soul is a very intense emotional stage where the identity that you had before your spiritual awakening is fighting to stay alive against the new identity that you have after your spiritual awakening. So the dark night of the soul is known as the spiritual identity crisis stage. And as the dust settles from this intense spiritual identity crisis, that's when there's this period of stillness and rest. And this is the spiritual void. The ascension symptom of this spiritual void can also be viewed as the eye of the hurricane. So you just came out of this intense spiritual storm and now you're in that calm and still part for a minute. So this is all a part of the ascension process. It forces you to be still. If everything in your life stops for a minute, then you're not distracted by the external. When do we have the presence to follow our heart or feel our intuition? When we're present and still. So the universe hasn't turned its back on you. Your life hasn't turned its back on you. You're just in that spiritual stage where you're being asked to be still and go within. Within is where all of the change happens. So the more that you get deeper into your spiritual path, you will come to realize that spirituality is all about accountability. Everything changes in here. So when we're talking about the law of cause and effect, this is the cause. This is why I'm not a big fan of doctrine that externalizes everything. This is the cause. Change the cause and then the effect changes. The spiritual void is where you learn to trust the guidance and truth of your soul. And this is why the universe and your spirit guides stop communicating with you, because they want you to learn how to trust your intuition, trust your heart. The universe does not want you to be codependent your entire life, because no loving parent would want that for their child. The universe wants you to learn how to fish instead of giving you a fish dinner every time you're hungry. So when you get still and you go within, you are able to then feel and hear your intuition. Your intuition never stops. It's always there. You just have to be quiet and still to hear it. And then next, you want to take action on that intuition. Why? Because you're demonstrating to yourself that you can trust the intuition and guidance coming from your heart and your higher self, which is the whole point of the spiritual void in the first place. The ascension symptom of being in the spiritual void forces you to get to know the real you. You guys hear me use this term all the time, the real you. And the spiritual void stage is designed to get you to come into alignment with and self-identify as the real you, which is your authentic soul essence. So if we strip away the various masks that you wear to the world, strip away the social conditioning, strip away the religious programming, strip away the ego, of course, with all of its mental yip yap and chatter, then what you are left with is your authentic self. And this is the real you. If you're experiencing the ascension symptom of restlessness, feeling frustrated because you believe that you're stuck, you may not actually be stuck. You may be in the spiritual void, which is forcing you to be still, not stuck. See, in Western society, we are programmed to go, 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 hustle, hustle, gotta grind. So when the universe slams on the brakes and stops you from all of that busy work that is distracting you from going within, you're going to feel restless and stuck. But you're not stuck. You are still. Stillness carries a peace, calmness, and presence about it that stuck does not. So use this stillness to your advantage and go within and connect with your authentic self. If you're in the spiritual void, then you need to practice mindfulness by getting centered in the present moment. All of that restlessness is coming from your mind being off in some future scenario. When I need to get centered, I like to put my hand on my heart and take a deep breath. This brings my awareness to my heart space and out of my head space. So this is how you get through the spiritual void. You need to normalize setting time aside daily to practice being still and being present. And yes, this does mean meditation. You knew I was going to say that. But when your mind gets used to being still, it won't protest when your life is on hold during the spiritual void stage. And what can this do for you? Well, this is usually the point where you get some clarity on what your next life move will be. So in other words, you get that clarity on what your life purpose is, which comes through the intuition of your heart because you're now quiet enough and still enough to hear it. Now, question of the day. How do you get through the spiritual void? Leave your tips and tricks below, Light Fam, so that we can all learn from one another. If you need a helping hand getting through the spiritual void and figuring out the life purpose, we can work one-on-one together through Zoom. Check the description below for that. If you have a question for me, add me over on Instagram _Lightways. Until next time, I will see all of you guys in the next video. Light, love, and abundance to all that are watching and to all you love. Peace, guys.